Ilia Topuria. He said, you know what? I want to go up to 155 pounds, fight the #1 contender, and then if he wins that, then he fights Islam. I think that's good, brother. I think he deserves.
I think if he move up and he beat somebody like Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira, he's next. Why not? Because there is nobody.
Can anyone stop Ilia Topuria before his legend grows out of control? Khabib Nurmagomedov, a man who once crushed every doubt under an iron squeeze, thinks he has the answer. His bold plan is to send his cousin protege Usman Nurmagomedov straight into the UFC spotlight to yank the belt from Topuria's waist. The second Khabib said it, comment sections burst open like popcorn. Some fans shouted, "Trust the Eagle, he sees things we don't." Others replied even faster, "Slow down. Usman barely escaped his last fight." Memes flew. Old highlight reels played on loop. GIFs of Topuria's knockout power rolled under posts that claimed he'd flatten Usman in one round. At the exact same moment, a softer but no less powerful story broke through the noise.
So I only died 4 times, right, where the ticker stopped for about 20 seconds. That's not ideal. I don't think you guys know that.
Ben Askren, the wrestling wizard once known for tireless cardio and funky scrambles, woke up after a nightmare surgery, saw the world still cheering for him, and promised to give back every bit of love he felt. With cheers, doubts, and second chances all colliding, fans can't afford to blink. Ben Askren's real-life comeback sounds like a script Hollywood would reject for being too over the top, yet every piece is true. First, doctors told him his lungs were failing so fast that only a double lung transplant could save him. Then his heart stopped not once, but 4 separate times, each pause lasting long enough to make nurses cry and family members pray.
And I just wanted to give one Mental Mondays message, and that was, I'm gonna plead guilty. I felt guilty for myself one time, right? And that doesn't do anyone any good. And I thought, man, I never smoked 1 cigarette, never smoked any weed.
When he finally opened his eyes weeks later, June had blurred into July and whole memories were gone, like erased lines on a chalkboard. He only learned the full timeline by reading the journal his wife kept beside his silent hospital bed. Askren used to cut weight like it was a hobby, but nothing prepared him for dropping 50 pounds without meaning to. Stepping on a scale, he saw numbers he hadn't seen since freshman year of high school. Walking across a room felt like climbing a hill, yet the flood of messages from wrestlers, fighters, and even old college rivals lit a fire in his chest that new lungs alone could not spark. He now calls every breath his bonus round and vows to guide the next generation so they never feel alone in their hardest fights. That wave of support wasn't one polite clap, it was a roaring chant from the whole combat community. Daniel Cormier, who once shared Olympic mats with Askren, wrote that Ben's stubborn spirit could wrestle death itself.
It's just insane. Insurance is a scam, and it's so sad. Right when you need these companies, they're not there, and it's up. And his insurance denied him to get the double lung transplant, which is also one of the most expensive surgeries, which is why they denied it. It just sucks.
Ariel Helwani, the sport's loudest microphone, told him millions stood in his corner. Henry Cejudo, who hoards gold medals the way kids hoard trading cards, said the scare forced everyone to pause and value life. But Michael Chandler's words might echo longest. He reminded Askren and everyone watching that Ben was the first high-level star to believe in Chandler back when regional shows could barely afford working microphones. Chandler insisted he would never have reached the UFC without that nudge. Picture Askren, still weak, scrolling through endless messages, each note a small torch showing him the path back. Instead of feeling pressured, he feels powered up.
Wrestler and MMA fighter Ben Askren is sharing his shocking double lung transplant experience. The 40-year-old athlete has been hospitalized since June 7th due to a severe case of pneumonia, which developed from a staph infection.
He jokes that it was like sneaking a peek at his own eulogy, except he got to sit up, smile, and write the next chapter himself. Gratitude is now his main exercise, and he rehearses it daily. Far from hospital rooms, Charles Oliveira is reliving his own dark moment, even though parts of it are still missing from his mind. 1 second he was trading punches with Ilia Topuria. The next he was blinking at ceiling lights, unsure which city he was in. Charles, a veteran who has finished more opponents than some rookies have fought, confessed he strayed from every tactic drilled in camp. Footwork forgotten, guard left open. That single lapse let Topuria land the hammer that shut the lights off. Fans whispered that such a brutal knockout could haunt even the most fearless fighter. Oliveira, humble as always, didn't search for excuses. He praised Topuria's timing, owned his own mistakes, and promised to rebuild from scratch, even if that means changing coaches, drilling new combos, or dragging sparring partners across Brazil until dawn. Watching him speak, eyes still swollen but heart unbroken, fans sensed both fear and inspiration. Fear because they saw how quickly Topuria can erase a man's plan, and inspiration because Oliveira's honesty reminds everyone that failure isn't the end.
You say that you're coming forward in this fight and you're the lion and you're going to bring the fight to him. He actually predicted that's exactly what you would do. Is there any part of you that thinks maybe I shouldn't play into what he expects, or does part of you think it'll be fun to prove that he can expect exactly what I'm going to do and I still manage to beat him at it anyway?
In reality, everyone knows what's going to happen. Is another dude that's talking that's going to fold in front of me.
Forgetting why you started is. Alexander Volkanovski nods at that truth because he's danced on the edge of retirement himself. Volk got rattled by Islam Makhachev and then knocked cold by Topuria, yet he still marched back into a championship spot. Winning the belt again should have been a fairy tale finish, but home life felt different. Right after the victory, his wife and kids circled him backstage and begged him to walk away, while his brain still works and he can still remember bedtime stories. Volk admitted later that charging into the Makhachev rematch on short notice was a gamble he probably lost the moment he signed the contract. Even so, the adrenaline of training camps, the puzzle of game plans, and the roar of crowds have stitched themselves into his identity.
Macedonia, Orthodox Christmas. So we've got the pig on the spit, got the shish kebab, chicken shish kebabs, got a heap of food, got all the salad.
If he retires, who is he? A father, yes. A husband, yes. But also a man forever drawn to test limits. He promised his family two things: longer breaks between wars and smarter choices about which mountains to climb. Still, fans wonder if any smart fight exists in a sport where one misstep can change a life. Ilia Topuria watches these debates and smiles like a kid who already peeked at all the answers. Reporters keep asking, did we see your best? And he keeps shaking his head. He insists that the public has only watched chapter 1 of a very thick book. He trains wrestling defense until his legs shake, then switches to jiu-jitsu chains nobody has seen in the cage yet.
You are gonna see me at 155 that I'm gonna touch someone and I'm gonna take his lights out. I don't need to touch his chin. I just touch his head and it will explode. I feel so powerful at that weight class, so stable in the ground. Like, do you wanna wrestle? Let's wrestle. No problem. And I have the gas tank for 5 days, not 5 rounds.
He practices late round footwork just in case an opponent survives past round 3. Next comes Arman Tsarukyan, a relentless wrestler who never seems to breathe hard. Analysts circle that matchup as the moment Topuria's rapid rise might finally slow. Topuria, calm as ever, says people will be shocked at the skills he's been hiding. Kids from Georgia and Spain stick printed photos of him on gym walls, drilling his seated hook, right hand. He loves being a hero, but he loves growth even more. Each time someone draws a map to beat him, he tears it up and buys new tools. In his view, every challenge is just another page waiting for fresh ink. All that promises exactly why Khabib's master plan brewed such heated replies. The Eagle, famous for retiring undefeated and sparing no mercy along the way, believes Usman-Nurmagomedov carries the family torch. He wants Usman in the UFC, fast-tracked to a Topuria showdown. Instantly, fans split into camps. Camp 1 says trust Khabib. He trained with Dagестан's best since childhood and sees champion potential clearer than any outsider. Camp 2 shouts that Usman struggled in Bellator's smaller pond and still needs seasoning before diving into the UFC's Shark Tank. Search bars filled with phrases like Usman versus Paul Hughes highlights and Topuria knockout reel. YouTube coaches slowed clips to half speed so they could circle foot positions and compare reaction times. Predictive polls bounced back and forth hourly. Whether you side with the Eagles or the Matadors, the noise proves one thing: Khabib's statement turned a fantasy bout into a public demand, and public demand often becomes pay-per-view reality. Adding jet fuel to that demand is the spicy history already cooking between Usman and Topuria. It all started with a tweet where Topuria boastfully joked he would handle Islam Makhachev in a street fight. Islam's crew didn't like that. Usman fired back online, promising to slap Ilia if paths ever crossed. Screenshots of the threat bounced around Instagram like virtual bricks. Topuria shrugged, posted a laughing emoji, and went back to training. But the internet never forgets.
Someone from my team told me that Dana was a little bit angry about that.
He said that if he was there, he would not have let that happen.
Yeah, but he wasn't there.
Now, every new interview replays that moment as if it happened yesterday. Fans imagine the first UFC press conference. Topuria leaning in. Smirk, fixed, while Usman's jaw tightens. Security guards widen their stance. Reporters grip phones, ready for viral gold. Even if cooler heads prevail on stage, the feud is already real in the minds of viewers. And in MMA, perception can sell more tickets than facts. If Dana White sees that the world can't look away, he'll break speed records writing the contracts. The feud also cracks open a bigger conversation, the sacred GOAT list. Joaquin Buckley, never shy with opinions, claimed that if Topuria somehow beats Makhachev, then climbs higher to grab a third belt, he could bump a giant off the Mount Rushmore of MMA. That mountain currently shows the stone faces of Jon Jones, Georges St. Pierre, Demetrius Johnson, and Khabib. Die-hard fans treat that list like holy scripture, so changing it stirred instant debate. Some shouted records, Jones's endless title defenses, GSP's comeback win, Mighty Mouse's creativity, Khabib's spotless sheet. Others pointed at era differences and argued that greatness must evolve with the sport. Topuria's name on that mountain feels like carving fresh marble before the statue is fully formed. Yet his wild success forces people to at least imagine the possibility. Even Topuria, cool as always, said new mountains can be built. Records, he reminds everyone, exist so someone brave can break them. While lightweights and featherweights steal headlines, giants in the heavyweight realm are banging drums of their own. Francis Ngannou, still mourning the tragic car accident that shook his heart, posted a video of himself jogging uphill with a monster chain draped around his neck. Sweat flew, metal clanged, and the caption read simply, "Getting ready for what's next." The message was loud. Grief has not clipped the predator's claws. On another timeline, Jon Jones typed a quick note that he had re-entered the USADA testing pool. That means technically, a comeback is possible. Daniel Cormier, who has battled Jones in cages and on commentary desks, rolled his eyes in a viral segment. He said Jones loves attention more than most people love pizza, and that fans should stop taking every tease as gospel. Cormier made sure to praise Jones's skill, but said he's tired of emotional roller coasters. Yet thousands of comments begged anyway. Fight Aspinall. Prove you're still the king. Love him or doubt him, Jon Jones can still pull every eyeball in the room, and he knows it. After all the heavy talk, lung transplants, knockouts, GOAT debates, it helps to laugh. That's where Merab Dvalishvili swoops in like comic relief in a long movie. In the closing seconds of the update video, the camera finds Merab shadowboxing beside a restroom, pretending the toilet lid is an opponent's guard. He ducks, slips, and throws uppercuts, then laughs so hard he almost falls over. It's silly, but it reminds fans that fighters aren't machines. They're people who joke with friends between grueling sessions. The host pops back on screen, grin unlocked, and thanks viewers for riding the emotional roller coaster. A quick reminder follows. Tap the like button, hit subscribe, smash the bell so you don't miss the next twist. Because in MMA, a twist is always coming. Phones buzz, comments pour in, and debates start all over again. That simple call to action might be only a few words, but it keeps the fire alive, ensuring the stories of Askren, Topuria, Usman, and every fighter in between keep echoing long after the final frame fades.